Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Drive-Thru. Today we're going to do a playthrough of Impulse. This is a game I reviewed last week, and I got a couple of requests actually to do a playthrough, and I actually talked to Richard Ham of Rahdo's Run-Throughs to see if he was going to do it, because he's kind of the master of that style. I mean, there's several other guys that are also excellent. I could list them, a whole bunch of them, watch it played, a little bit different format. You know, Ricky Royal, MeWe, and a couple other guys. But Rahdo said he wasn't really that interested in this. It's kind of a in-your-face, head-to-head 4X, you know, explore and destroy and tear down what another player has built up, which isn't usually his bag. Sometimes he does like those confrontational games. And so I've been trying to do some of these playthroughs of games that you don't see a lot of playthroughs, because most of the time they're Euros and stuff. You don't really see a playthrough of a war game too much. So let's jump into it. I've set up actually a 3-player game here, because the 2-player game is okay, but I think it'd be a little bit boring to watch. That's my expectation anyway. So I set up a 3-player game. I've already set up the yellow and red player, and I'm going to go through the setup process for the white player, because there is some decision making to be had there. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, and then I'll play through the game. Okay, as I said, you can see here red and yellow have been set up. I've chosen cards for them. Now what happens is players are dealt a hand of 5 cards, and then you get to take a peek at the card that's going to be your home sector. You take that card into your hand, and then you get to choose which card to actually lay down there, and that kind of gives you a little starting ability. So just to catch you up here, red has a mine card that's going to allow them to add cards to their minerals and hopefully turn those into points and also possibly boost their actions. Yellow has a trade card. This is an ability that allows you to basically discard cards out of your hand for straight up points. And white is going to be starting up in this sector here. So we're going to go ahead and take and add this card to white's hand and then decide what he wants to do. And just real quickly, for those that aren't familiar with Impulse, it's a 4X game. Everybody has a starting sector. You've got different ships that you can see. You're going to move around exploring the board and covering different sectors or planets that have different actions. You're also able to play actions from your hand, add them to this thing called an impulse, which is sort of a funky role selection. Now this designer has also designed Innovation and Glory to Rome. Glory to Rome has a role selection mechanic kind of like San Juan or Puerto Rico. So this is kind of a different take on that, at least that's my estimation. And you can see up here is a scoreboard, and each player has a ship there, and the first player simply to get to 20 points is going to be the winner instantly. So you can get points a variety of ways, like I said, trading cards, refining minerals, winning battles and destroying ships. Also in the center of the map here is a sector core, and this is a spot where you can score points as well. So let's take a look at what white has, and I'll go through a little bit of the thought process on their choice of homeworld. So the first card they have available to them is this research card, and what research does, it allows you to upgrade your techs. Now each player starts with 2 basic techs. Every player has the same basic tech here on the left, and then an individual one here on the right. Now this basic tech here lets you discard a card to either build or move ships, and this one that is specific here to the, I don't know how to say this, but it's the Calum Knights, is this one is lets you do some extra mining actions. I'll go into these in more detail as I do the playthrough. So if I wanted, I could set my homeworld here to let me do some easy researching, but that's not something you do a whole ton in the game. I mean, sometimes you do, but not usually. Not something you want to have available as a homeworld, at least in my estimation. I mean, one of these days I might actually do it just to kind of see how it works. So that's kind of how this game is. Sabotage. This is a good one here. This is one that you might throw down on a sector because it gives you a sabotage that's available. Now, not all of these actions are made equally, and not all of them are available equally in the deck. And sabotage is one that can come up, but it's a little bit more rare. I haven't gone through and counted every action, but this one is definitely rarer than the other ones, and this gives me a little bit of offensive capability, one that I would probably choose any given Sunday. But here's a command. This allows you to command 2 fleets, and command basically is moving ships, and that's very useful because as you start to uncover the actions out here, you're going to be moving your transport fleets here. Now transport fleets are the upright ships, and then cruiser fleets are the sideways, laid down ships. Now these transport fleets, you're going to be moving around from card to card and activating the actions. Now if you land there with a bigger fleet, you may be able to boost the action to do it even better. So having, oh, before I forget, the cruiser fleets here are your more offensive and defensive ships. You're going to be attacking with them. And you can see these are actually placed in between these different gates to patrol and kind of militarize the different sectors. Now, having this command card down as your homeworld maybe will give you some more options. There are quite a bit of command cards, but sometimes I feel like you don't always get them right when you really could use them. So this may be a smart one to actually lay down into your home sector. Now this one's a little bit restrictive. It says command 2 fleets for 1 move apiece. Each must move to the same card. So this seems kind of a specialized, situational type of thing. Execute is interesting. Execute 1 size 1 card from your hand. And sizes are based on the number of icons. So this is a size 2. That's a size 3 there. And so if it only has 1 icon, it's a size 1. This allows you to do that or execute a tech. Another good one you might throw down there. And again, here's another command, but it's a little bit more generalized. Command 1 transport for 1 move. That's one that I might put on. And actually these 2 are the ones I'm kind of debating in my head here. Now this one says draw 2 cards from the deck. That is a very strong, not so specific card that you can always make use of. You'll find that not all draws are made equally and not all commands are made equally. You're going to have some specificity, which may be really crucial and awesome, but also in other situations not really that ideal. And then these generic ones can be a little bit more helpful. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the draw one down, because this lets me just draw 2 cards, and that's something that's always good, of course, to give you more options. So we'll go ahead and put the draw card down here, and of course you always start with 2 transport ships in a fleet, and then 1 cruiser ship pointed towards the sector core. So everybody has, as you can see there, 1 cruiser pointed towards the sector core. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. So first up we have the red player, which are the Draconians. And the first thing that you always do every turn is you choose and add a card to the impulse. And for red, I've decided to add this research card. A couple reasons I've done that. This is to research 1 green card from your hand, which I've got a couple of. And it's also sort of specific. And so by adding this card to the impulse is a sort of set of actions that multiple players can act on. So since this is so specific and it happens to work out for me, I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there on the hopes that other players can't really make any use of it. So we're going to go ahead and add this to the impulse. So right now the impulse is empty. We're going to go ahead and add that. And then this is actually going to grow. It'll never get bigger than 4 cards at any given time. But that's the first thing you got to do every turn, just add 1 card to the impulse. Then the next step is you can activate 1 of your techs. And remember, everybody has a tech where they can discard a card to either move a fleet or build 1 ship at home. And then the Draconians here have a tech here that says research 1 card from your hand. It must match the color and size of the last card in the impulse. Well, right now there's only 1 card in the impulse. Remember, this is a size 2 red, and it was the only one we had, so we couldn't even do that anyway because we don't have any size 2 reds in our hand. But I am going to do the left hand tech, and I'm going to discard a card here to move 1 fleet. So we're going to go ahead and move this fleet in here with these 2 ships. We're going to move them right in towards the center here and then explore. So what happens when you move a fleet in is either when you move a transport fleet right on the card, or if you move a cruiser fleet, say, through the card like so, then you get to pick up that card, add it to your hand, and then decide, again, similar to the beginning of the game, what card you want to put down there. Now, since these transport fleet is stopping on the section, we're actually going to activate that card. And because we have 2 of these, we're actually going to get a little bit of a boost, which I'll explain here. So the card that I'm going to put here is this execute here, and this says execute 1 size 2 card from your hand, or execute 1 of your techs. So we're going to put this one in here, and then it's just going to go right like so. And then the interesting thing about this is we can actually boost this. So let me just go ahead and show you that. So you can see these little numbers here in rectangles. You can actually bump those up. So you can go from a 2 to a 3 to possibly a 4. Now, there's a few ways those get bumped up. For example, when we land on a card, for each ship on there, you get 1 kind of boost point. So for every 2 boost points, you can bump up the number on there. So we have 2 ships here, they just hit it. So this can be execute 1 size 3 card. Well, if we look in our hand, it's not a big deal this time because we have a 2 size 1s, these 2 greens here, and then a size 2. But if we had a size 3, we could do that. So it would give us more options because you can always do up to the number. So this says execute 1 size 2. Well, there's no reason we couldn't do a size 1. That just gives you kind of the maximum number that you can do. And the different numbers will be different boostables. So let me make that clear here. So we have the mine card here. It says mine 1 size 2 card from your hand. Well, if we had activated this later on and boosted this to a 2 or 3, we can mine 2 or 3 size 2 cards from your hand. So you can see that mining cards, you know, that's going to be good. I'll explain why, but you know, so you can boost various different numbers and various different actions to be better. Now the other way the actions get boosted is if you have minerals here. So if we go ahead and put that, if we had these 2 cards, you'd slide these underneath here and you would see, okay, there we've got 2 green minerals. And again, for each mineral that matches the color of the action that we're doing, and we are doing green in this case, so these actually would be good. For each 2 of those, again, we can bump up a number. So if we had these 2 here, 1, 2, and since those are matching green, we could boost this. But again, we also have 2 boosts here. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could boost that up to a size 4 card, which doesn't exist. But you know, perhaps we boosted that number. So again, ships moving onto the spot, only the transport ships, and you know, matching colored minerals will help boost. But we're not worried about boosting this. I just want to give you a quick example that we are actually going to go ahead and do this card just to activate one of our techs. And it's going to be the tech that we just did, which was to move a fleet. So we have to discard a card to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and discard another move card, and we're going to move these guys in here again. So we're going to land these guys in the sector core, and again, we can boost that. This says score 1 point. Well, this is a non-color, so we could boost this with any one color of mineral, but we don't have any minerals yet, so no big deal. But these 2 guys here add together to make 1 boost point, so we're actually going to score 2 points. So red here is going to go 2 points. Very quick points. Trust me, this is not going to last long for red. So now that we've added a card to the impulse, played one of our techs, which is optional, by the way. Playing a tech is optional. Now we're going to activate the impulse. Right now we've just got 1 card in the impulse, but if we had more cards here, we'd, you know, as other players play, they're going to add cards to the impulse. You can activate all the cards in the impulse. And again, those are optional as well. Now this one here, what we had planned for is research 1 green card from your hand. Now, if you remember, I had a mine card as my homeworld. I had these 2 refine cards in my hand. This one allows me to refine 1 blue mineral for a point per gem, and this one actually allows me to refine a yellow mineral for 1 point per gem. So we have a little bit of synergy there. It's a 50-50 here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick, I'll pick the yellow one. And so I think those are more common. I think. I don't know why I think that, but they may be equally balanced. I have no idea. So I'm going to put this one and actually research this one and put that on my tech board. And I'm going to go ahead and cover up this other tech here because I want to keep the tech over here available for moving and building ships. I don't really plan on doing a ton of research, but now I've gotten this. So this combined, hopefully, let's see up here with my mine action there, is going to hopefully have some synergy. Now, we've done our first couple phases. We added a card to the impulse, activated one of our techs, used the impulse. Now we can use or delay a plan, but again, we don't have a plan here. Whoops. And so there's nothing to do there. If we had some plan cards built up, we could do that. Now we're going to score sector points. After we do that, we're going to draw 2 and then trim the impulse. Now sector points at the end of the turn are only scored if you're patrolling with a cruiser ship. So for each gate that you have cruisers on, you're going to score 1 point, but we don't have any cruisers patrolling, so we're not going to score end of turn sector points there. So we're just going to draw our 2 cards, and we would trim the impulse at this time, but since there aren't more than 3 cards, we're just going to leave it as it is. So let's do yellow's turn. So the first thing yellow's got to do is add a card to the impulse. And now I don't really pay attention to what other players' hands are, so I'm trying to keep this as realistic as possible. And red is going to get friggin' hammered right now. He went a little bit, he came out of light speed a little too quickly there, get into the sector core. So this is going to be interesting. So the first thing you got to do is add a card to the impulse. And what we're going to go ahead and do here is command a 1 ship fleet for 1 move. So you can move 1 ship. So we'll go ahead and add the card to the impulse. Now we can use one of our techs. Now the Hercules, again, has a card where you can discard to move or build, but they've got this little interesting tech here. Command 1 cruiser for 1 move through an unexplored card. So we can take and move this cruiser here for free without discarding any cards because this is unexplored. So that tech's kind of handy earlier in the game, but as things get explored, not so handy. But even though we're not going to activate this because we moved through it with a cruiser, we're still going to take a look at it and choose the card that we want to put there. So yellow's going to get into the mining game. They're going to take a mine card. It says mine one size 1 card from the deck. That basically means draw a card from the deck. If it's size 1, then you can mine it. Now again, of course you can boost that. So if you boost it up to a 2 or 3, then basically you can mine whatever card you draw. So we're going to go ahead and throw that down there and hopefully make use of that later. So we've added a card to the impulse, executed our tech. Now we're going to execute the whole impulse. So the first card obviously was that research 1 green card from your hand. Well, I'm going to go ahead and research that. So the red player didn't know that I had a cool card to research. They were expecting I didn't, but I do. And this card is, kind of 6 1/2 dozen the other, but this says plan a card from the deck, then plan 2 cards of its color from the deck. So we're going to go ahead and put this down on our research. And I'm going to go ahead and cover up that one tech that I just used. I like to keep this one available because it'll cost you a card, but it's a little more flexible than the other one where you have to go through an unexplored space. Now here's where red is going to get hammered. Command a 1-ship fleet for 1 move. Hey, that sounds pretty benign, right? So we have 2 options as yellow. We have 2 fleets. Now this is a 2-ship fleet, but we could always separate it and move it apart from there. And we also have the cruiser fleet, which is all by itself. Well, what we're going to do here is actually going to fly through this sector. Now red has left themselves wide open. They don't have any cruisers over here patrolling the sector where their transport fleets are. So other players can basically destroy those without impunity, or with impunity, however you say that. And so what yellow's going to do is he's just going to go ahead and fly right through that sucker, move over to that side. Or you know what, instead of getting him too far away, I'm going to actually have him fly from here over to here. And then, so what happens when you fly through a sector with a bunch of transport fleets is you just destroy them. So there's 2 transport fleets gone. Well, that's also 1 point per ship that you destroyed, and red is obviously set back quite a bit. Now, if red had a cruiser in there, you couldn't do that. You would first have to actually move from here over here to attack red. If you had beaten red in the battle, you would get a point for destroying that ship and a point for winning the battle. Basically, it's 1 point per ship and then 1 point for the battle winner. And then after that, if you were successful, then you would sort of retroactively destroy those ships. But red ship is not there, and so yellow's moved through here. He's destroyed 2 of these, so yellow also will get 2 points. And yellow has no plan to execute, so there's no plan to delay or execute. I'll talk about plans when I get one. And then you're going to look at your sector points. So yellow is actually patrolling 1 of the gates of the core sector, so they're going to get a point there. And then we're going to go ahead and draw our 2 cards to end our turn. So you can see there, red kind of went for the easy points. Wasn't aware that yellow had the perfect kind of setup to do that. But, like I said, I'm just kind of playing without really trying to pay attention from one player to the other. So I don't really, predict what's in our hands and all that kind of stuff. Now, I should say there are a lot of command cards, which are what, allows you to move ships, and everybody has that starter tech to move their ship. So that's something that red probably could have been aware of. So let's go to white's turn. Okay, so white's also going to add a command card to the impulse, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same basic tech and discard a card to move some fleets. So for fun, we're going to go ahead and move these 2 guys over here, and we'll take a look at what we got. So we got a research card, research 1 size 1 card from your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and instead put this one down here, command 2 fleets for 1 move apiece, each must move to the same card. We'll go ahead and put that one there. And so if we wanted to, since we boosted that, we could command 3 fleets for 1 move apiece, they must move to the same card. So what we're going to do, actually, we're going to go ahead and move both of these. We're going to move these guys. Well, actually, we'll just go ahead and move him first. He's going to go through here. He's going to explore that. And so he's on that card. And then we're going to add, we'll add this trade 1 blue card from your hand. We're going to go ahead and put that down there. And then these guys, of course, they'll move to this card. Now, in this case, since we boosted it with our 2, we could trade 2 blue cards from our hand. Actually don't have any blue cards, but if I take a look at this draw card here, this allows me to draw some cards, so I could technically kind of bounce between these guys on separate moves to draw some cards and maybe trade some. And again, you trade them and you get points equal to the number of icons. So we're basically looking to draw blue cards. So that was our basic tech. We'll go ahead and activate the impulse. And the first thing lets us research a green card from our hand. We're going to go ahead and skip that. We're going to command a 1-ship fleet for 1 move. So we'll go ahead and just break him off. We're going to go ahead and do that and draw 2 cards to see what we got. Oh, look at there, a blue card. So we got a plan 2 yellow cards, and then a blue card that lets us draw. And this one here is cool. It lets you say draw one card from the deck, and then you draw one red or green card. So you draw one card and then you draw another card. If it's red or green, you get to keep it. If not, you discard it. So that was that action. Next one is command one transport for one move. So we're going to go ahead and move this transport back here. And now we can trade one blue card from our hand. Now you don't boost this. You don't look at the ship here when you boost it. You only look at the ships that actually move there in that turn. So we don't get to actually boost that, but we only have one blue card anyway, so we're going to go ahead and trade that one, and we'll get 1 point per blue icon on there. So we go ahead and discard our blue card there, and then white will get a point. And then since that's the end of their turn, they only have one ship patrolling the sector core, so they get it 1 point there as well. So we'll draw 2 cards, and we're not yet going to trim the impulse, but we'll start doing that next turn. Now red's hot. He's out for blood. So he's going to first add this totally worthless card to the impulse. Refine 1 blue mineral card for 1 point per gem. Well, nobody's mined anything yet, so he's going to go ahead and add that, and then know that hopefully other players won't get any use out of it. And so the next thing that he can do is do one of his basic techs. All he's got is this little cruiser here. So he's going to go ahead and do the discard here to build a little transport here at home, and hopefully start to recover from his little early slap in the face there. So he's added a card to the impulse, done his basic tech. Now let's execute the impulse. He's going to skip the first card, which is research 1 green card from your hand. Second one will be to command 1 ship fleet for 1 move. So he's going to actually move this transport fleet down here. So let's take a look at what we got. Well, we drew a sabotage, which is nice, but you can only sabotage a fleet with 1 bomb. But what we're going to do here is actually going to go ahead and put a mine card here, mine 1 red card from your hand. We'll put that down here, land him there, and actually go ahead and mine that sabotage card. So we'll go ahead and stick this card under here. And now we have some ability to refine these for points, or we can use these, every 2 of these, to boost a red action that we take. Now we can do a command 1 transport for 1 move, and then if we wanted to, we could refine a blue card, but of course we're going to skip that because we don't have any blue cards in our minerals. So we'll go ahead and just move this guy back here. Mine 1 size 2 card from your hand, but we're going to go ahead and just mine this a size 1, because remember you can do up to the number there. So this is actually going to go into our minerals. So we'll add this, and now since we have 2 of these, we have enough to bump up any red action by +1. But we're out of cards, so that kind of stinks. So we're going to draw 2 cards here, and then since this is the oldest card in the plan, or in the impulse, and we got to keep the impulse at 3 cards, we're going to discard that and then move everything else up. So yellow's got to add a card to the impulse. They're going to go ahead and add this draw card. So draw 3 size 1 cards from the deck to the impulse. And now for our basic tech, we're going to activate this plan. Now I've kind of second thoughts about doing this. Right now, I would like to maybe move some stuff around, or maybe I would have played a different thing differently. But I kind of like using this card, to be honest, and I just kind of want to show you how the plans work. So this is plan a card from the deck, then plan 2 cards of its color from the deck. So what that means, basically draw a card, we're going to plan it. So there is a worthless card, but now we're going to draw 2 cards, and if they are green, we can keep them. So there's command that's going to get discarded because it was yellow, and then we're going to add this one here to our plan. So now we have 2 cards that we could possibly execute on our plan, but when we get to the plan stage, I'll talk about that. So now we're going to activate the impulse. And you know what, looking at the impulse, I'm not really having second thoughts because there are 2 command cards in the impulse. So you have to be real careful about what you add to the impulse, because if it's flexible for you, it's going to be flexible for other players as well. And if you have a lot of things that are like, you add a sabotage, or you add something to move cruisers around with your offensive ships, then there's going to be a lot of activity and a lot of battles, because all the players can make use of that at least once, usually depending on the number of players anyway. So now I can command a 1 ship fleet for 1 move. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy here, and this says to mine 1 size 1 card from the deck. So we're going to take a peek at this here, and what do you know, we got a size 1 blue card. So we'll just tuck that in there, and so now we have a little bit of blue minerals, and we'll do command 1 transport for 1 move, and we're just going to move him right back here, and then we're going to do a trade 1 red card from your hand. So we're going to trade that in for a point. So yellow will go ahead and get 1 point for trading. So the next card kind of presents us with an interesting dilemma and a little bit of a strategy discussion. Refine 1 blue mineral card for 1 point per gem. Well, we just added here a mineral card, so we could refine that, basically discard it for 1 point. However, if you look at our home world, we can trade one red card from your hand. But if we're able to boost that and we get some more blue minerals down here, then we can boost that to be able to trade 2 or maybe even 3 red cards. So that may have a better long-term investment for scoring multiple points. If we do this refined card now, sure, great, we get a point out of it, but by the next time we come around, this refined card is not going to be around. So why do we really want to, just get the free point now? And yeah, we got lucky and drew a blue card, but I'm going to pass on that and hopefully use that blue minerals to boost my home trade action. Now we get to draw 3 size 1 cards. So we're simply going to draw cards but we're going to draw 3 cards. There's a size 1, we'll keep that. Second card we draw, that's a size 3. We got to discard that. It doesn't meet the criteria. And we'll draw a third card. And there we go. So we got to draw 2 cards from that action, and we got an execute and a trade to add to our hand. So now we have the option of delaying or executing our plan. Now if you delay it, you just say, okay, pass, I'm not going to use my plan. If your plan is ever 4 cards big, you have to execute it. So what is this going to do for us? We can refine 1 mineral card for 1 point per gem. We could get our point out of blue, and then we can draw 1 card from the deck, then draw 1 blue or yellow card. So if you execute this, you can skip these or optionally do whatever you want on them, but then you have to discard the entire plan. What I'm going to do is actually delay this. I may get to a point in a little bit where I do want to refine another gem and then maybe draw some cards. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in my hand, so I'm not really hurting for card draw. So I'm going to let that one sit. Plus I'm going to draw 2 more cards to end my turn, and then we're going to delete this card and then shift this impulse down and go to white's turn. Oh, I almost forgot. Yellow is patrolling a gate on the home sector, the core sector, so he's going to get another point there. So white's going to add a plan card to the impulse, and so he's going to make use of that later on his turn. It allows him to plan 2 yellow cards. Hopefully other players don't have yellow cards to add to their plan. White will find out. And then white will activate his generic basic tech to move ships around. And one thing just to note here, if white wanted to move in here with these, he could not. You cannot move a transport fleet into a sector that has any other player's cruiser. So again, this is white here is locking down and sort of making this transport fleet safe. And likewise, they're both sort of protecting anybody from coming in here and activating that ability there. So the positioning and placement of cruisers is very important. But he's going to go ahead and activate those. And I'm going to go ahead and move these ships up to here. And we're going to see what we might activate there. And I think we're going to go ahead and put another card draw thing here. Because remember, white has the draw and trade combo. So let's go ahead and add another draw here. So we're actually going to draw 1 card. And then because we're going to boost it, because remember, we're going to have here 2 boost points, so we can boost for every 2 boost points. Again, you can boost that number up by 1. So we're going to draw 1 card from the deck. We're going to draw here, we get a red research card, and then now we can draw 2 blue or green cards. So basically look at 2 cards, and then oh, we got a blue one there. That's good. So we'll keep that, and then a second card now. Oh, another blue one. So perfect. That is going to work out very well because we can trade blue cards from our hand. So white is doing okay. And we can command 1 transport for 1 move. So we could go right here and trade one of those blue cards. I think I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to wait for later and then hopefully maybe get 2 activations from each of these on a later turn or a simultaneous action to boost it. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 cards. It's actually going to put me at 9 cards. You have a hand limit of 10 cards. Let's see, I got a refine there, and then I got another command to move a card. Next possible action would be to refine a blue card, nothing. Now we're going to draw 3 size 1 cards from the deck. Now we have 9, so in this game, if you ever could go over your hand size, you just don't do anything, you don't draw. So we're going to draw 1 card here, size 2, that is discarded. Draw another one, another size 2, and then we're going to draw a 3rd card. Okay, there we go, there's our 10th card. And the last card of the impulse is plan, and since we drew so many cards, guess what? We can plan 2 yellow cards from our hand. So we'll go ahead and put these down here like so. Let's see, command a 1 ship fleet for 1 move, and command a 1 transport fleet for 1 move. So these are in here, and now we have the option actually to execute our plan, and I'm going to go ahead and execute it. So I can command a 1 ship fleet and a 1 transport fleet. And I'm going to do that with both my transport ships. So these are discarded, and we'll execute the plan. So we'll just go ahead and move him here to trade a blue card, and we'll do him to trade another blue card. So there we've got our 3 points in blue, and now these guys are set back up to go draw some cards and trade them. So we'll see how that works. So there's 3 points for white, plus again he's going to get a point here for patrolling the sector core. So that'll give white a total of 4 points, which will put him up here at 6. And now he's down to 6 cards, so he can go ahead and draw 2 more cards to end his turn. And look, so he got a blue card.